because I want to offer them 3 options. One is to move out, which means we're going to pay your rent and help you transition out.
Well, hold on. You can't just throw that out there. Right. Y'all going to pay 2 months of the couple's rent. What made you envision doing the grand wedding?
It really became out of the vision of how popular cohabitation became. I wanted to preach about it, but I said I never want to preach about something without giving people a pathway to restoration. We give them 3 options. 1, move out, we're going to help you with your rent. 2, move away from doing a relationship this way. Find another pathway. And then the third one is marry now, what we call a 90-day cohabitation challenge. And at the end of that, we'll give you free wedding, free dress. We're going to take care of everything. You just work on the relationship. We've married over 120 couples, and we've seen how it's been redemptive in their lives.
We were shacking up for 7 months, and then Pastor Carter issued the call for the cohabitation challenge. We looked at each other, and we said, he is talking to us, and this is what we need to do.
For a woman to submit, it's not just the man that she's trusting. It's really the Jesus she sees behind him. My wife trusted the Jesus she saw behind me more than I did at some point.
The number one question I got when she was pregnant with Ethan was, are you ready? And my counteractive question would be, how could I be ready for something that I've never done before? And that's the same thing when it comes to marriage.
I once heard someone say, find someone who you can have a bad time with. And it's easy to have a good time with someone, and there's no one else that I would rather go through those bad times with. So just take that leap of faith.
God was real loud in that moment. You know, it was something that had been pulling in my heart. I knew that I wanted to marry her. I knew that with how both of us were raised, with how both of us operate, we wanted to do it the right way.
He talks about the cohabitation challenge, and he just introduced the pay your rent part. And I was like, look, there you go. You can move it out.
We were literally visiting.
They said they was visiting, but God visited them. Boy, that's what I'm talking about. And how many years y'all been married?
Going on 16.
16 years of marriage. That's absolutely beautiful. How does your family feel about this?
The Dear Future Wifey podcast has global impact. From Texas,
I have been on this journey of healing and self-discovery, and this podcast has been a vital part of my process.
Guyana,
God's establishing through you a legacy, a display of freedom found in authentic spirituality.
California,
I've learned so much as a single man through your podcast and continue to learn so much as now a married man.
Nigeria.
This is just therapy for me. You know, I've been healed. I've been strengthened in my convictions. I've understood how to do singlehood better.
Amsterdam.
The way that you've shown us how it is possible for a man to be as intentional as you are.
New Jersey.
I appreciate your vulnerability. I appreciate just being able to see that there is life after divorce.
To New York.
I am a single woman, so these episodes really give me hope and courage that God does have a husband for me.
Discover, uncover, and recover love. I'm Laterras Whitfield, and this is season 10 of the Dear Future Wifey podcast.
Are you still shacking up with us? Now that's going to be real funny by the end of this episode. If you are still shacking up with us, can we get a commitment? Hit that subscription button and subscribe. Make sure you turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified about upcoming episodes. Now listen, this is a special edition of the Dear Future Wifey podcast. We are at Concord Church in Dallas, Texas, and this special episode is titled The Grand Wedding. And so first we're going to just chop it up with the leaders of this ministry, Pastor Brian Carter and Stephanie Carter. Welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast again. Y'all were featured on the podcast before. So let me ask you this real quick, Pastor Carter. What made you envision doing the grand wedding?
I was married, cheated, flunked out of marriage. These eyes have seen the pain of failure, but also the possibility of redemption. These ears have heard the lies. You'll never change. But they've also caught the whisper of truth. Laterras, you can learn love on a level you've never known. This finger once carried a vow I wasn't ready to honor. Today it's empty, but it's unashamed. It's waiting on a covenant I'll protect with wisdom.
Will you marry me?
I'm no expert. I'm just a fellow student. I've sat in love's classroom, even spent time in detention, but now I live with intention. That's why I wrote Student of Love, because learning love never ends. Sit next to me and cheat off of my paper. Cheat? Tony, should I use a better word? Let's just cut to the chase. Pre-order this book and start the journey on becoming a true student of love. Class is now in session.
Thanks again for having us, Laterras. So it really became out of the vision of how popular cohabitation became. 16 years ago, it was so incredibly popular. It's even more popular today. And as we began to realize how many people were impacted by it, I wanted to preach about it, but I said I never want to preach about something without giving people a pathway really to restoration. And so I remember the Sunday, I remember our team getting together. I said, I'm going to preach about it. I said, I need y'all help to try to pull this off because I want to offer them 3 options, really. One is to move out, right? We talk about a biblical case for cohabitation. One is to move out, which means we're going to pay your rent, 2 months rent, and help you transition out.
Well, hold on. You can't just throw that out there. Right. So you said as a church, y'all going to pay 2 months of the couple's rent.
Right. So here's what we know about cohabitation. Many times you slide, you don't decide. So you drift in. The one night becomes a week. The duffel bag becomes a few boxes. You know, it moves from a drawer to all the cosmetics. So all those things begin to happen. So what often happens is couples get stuck, right? They get stuck. So we felt like when we give a biblical perspective about it, cohabitation versus covenant, let's help people to figure out the difference. And if they're there and don't want to be there, but are stuck financially, we want to pay 2 months rent to help you move out. The reason we do that is because my wife and I, we were shacking before we got married, and my brother actually paid my rent to help me kind of get to a different place.
Hold on, really? That's where it came from?
Where it came
So Stephanie, y'all was over here shacking?
Yes. Now listen, I was living my best life in my apartment doing my student teaching. I was minding my own business. And then he showed up at my apartment. I'll never forget, the weather had just come on. And there was a knock on my door. And I was like, what are you doing here? You're going to get in so much trouble. And he was like, I decided to leave. I was like, leave where? Yeah. Your home? Oh, okay. All right. And then I was kind of excited because this was like in January, and we were getting married in June.
Also, you already had planned on getting married.
We did. I got put out of the house. That's another episode. But yeah. So I just needed a place, and I went over there. But I just couldn't get. I was a preacher. I just didn't get comfortable. I couldn't. So my brother paid my rent to help me get to a place until we were able to get married. And so the program is kind of based on our own story, right? That we know what it's like for couples to be in that situation. And so we want to help them. So for us, we give them 3 options. 1, move out. We're going to help you with your rent. 2, move away from doing a relationship this way, right? Find another pathway. Because oftentimes cohabitation doesn't lead to long-sustaining relationships, right? And then the third one is marry now, which is we want to put you through what we call a 90-day cohabitation challenge, which we're going to give you 90 days. We're going to put you through 12 weeks of classes, teach you all about the foundation of a relationship, how they work, how to deal with conflict, how to manage money, how to deal with in-laws, all the things that are important. And at the end of that, while you work on the relationship, we'll take care of the wedding. And at the end of that, we'll give you free wedding, free dress, free tuxedo, free reception, free rings, invitations, cake. We're going to take care of everything. You just work on the relationship because we want to help you move from cohabitation to covenant.
I'm trying not to cry. Let me tell you something. I don't know why it's making me emotional. Listen, you know why this is so emotional to me is because, as I expressed with you, it's back in the day, pastors would beat people over the head and be like, stop shacking, you're going to hell. And you said, you got a little bougie, you call it cohabitation. But where we come from, they call it shacking.
Right.
But you didn't beat people over the head. You said, I'm coming from a place of what I experienced myself. And we're going to give people a hand up and help them have the tools necessary in order to have healthy relationships. And because we know statistically that those who cohabitate, their marriages, the statistics based on that, they don't really make it. And so you said, let's go ahead and be a part of the solution and give tools. But the fact that y'all went all in as a ministry to say, no, we're not just going to give you counseling, but we're going to pay for everything. And people don't understand, a lot of churches struggle financially. And y'all saying y'all going to go a step further and not just make it about, making sure the lights stay on, but we're going to help people do that. Where did that come from? I mean, that had to be a huge undertaking from a ministry.
I think the church is a place of restoration. I mean, that's what the gospel teaches us. The gospel is redemptive. And the church is a place where people get restored. It's not just a place alone where we call out certain things, but it's a place where we can help build pathways. And so for us, it just fits with that's what the gospel looks like. And so we've had so many individuals over these 16 years. We've married over 120 couples, and we've seen how it's been redemptive in their lives. We've seen people come to faith and accept Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. We've seen people that have said, nobody in my family is married. I've never seen it before. I'm going to be the first one to break the cycle. We've seen children that now have their mom and dad together. I mean, we've seen healing, and we've watched people get restored to their faith in God. You know, we have couples in this church right now. They've been a part of this journey. They are some of our most faithful couples, most involved couples. Then when their families come to celebrate that they're now stepping into marriage, it's a lot of work to get through couples as they walk through those relationships. But the end goal of celebrating that the gospel is redemptive and restorative. And we have an amazing church. They love sponsoring couples. This weekend when we have our wedding, we've got about 150 volunteers, stylists, barbers, makeup artists, seamstress. They show up and say, we want to help love on people and make it happen.
We grow people. Man, that's powerful. What we're going to do, we're going to go around and allow the couples to introduce themselves and the year that y'all got married. Matter of fact, let's make it even funner. I want the date. And see, I hope y'all ain't debating over the date, because a man may be like, I remember it was sometime in the year of 2009. So I want you to introduce yourself and y'all's wedding date.
Yes, my name is Otis, and my beautiful wife, Monique Seabury, and we've been married since October 25th in 2009.
2009. And then we're going to go with y'all?
My name is Kelvin Evans. This is my wife, Pashua Evans, and we were married August 27th, 2016.
2016.
Yeah, my name is Evan Murray. This is my beautiful bride, Deasia Murray, and we got married September 10th, 2022, and we were a part of the grand wedding.
2022.
My name is Damon Jewelry. This is Hillary, soon to be Hillary Jewelry. And on September 20th, 2025, we will be married.
That is beautiful, man. So when you look back, so I'm going to go ahead and start with the OGs over here. When you look back, let me ask you, what made you decide to participate in the grand wedding before it became the grand wedding?
Well, we were actually doing, because I think if I'm stating right, I think the week prior to that.
Hold the microphone closer to you.
Oh, sorry. Probably a week or so prior to that, we started CSI. And this was prior to us actually even being members here. We were already
Help
starting.
People understand what CSI stands for.
Basically is couples seriously interested, right? And we were cohabitating, so we were closer, sorry. And so we were realizing the importance of us doing the counseling and, just learning about what this would look like as far as the marriage. Yes, we were in a relationship, but it looks a little bit different when you step into that commitment. So,
Carter, y'all remember how many people were a part of that, the first one?
It was maybe like 14.
Yeah. 14. How many people made it through?
That one was, at the very end?
Yes.
So typically they start out with about 30. Okay. They start out committed. By the time that counseling gets done, you end up with the faithful few, right, that have made it through that thing.
The remnants.
And they were part of that piece. And also we learned a lot. That was the first one. So it wasn't a 90-day challenge. It was a 30-day challenge. And so we were a little ambitious. And
they were still falling off for 30 days?
A little bit. Had y'all just moved to Dallas?
So, I'm originally from New Orleans, and I recently moved. And actually, I was going to church at French West, and we came here and heard your message, and I just felt the genuine of your heart and how you was preaching, and it was tugging on my heart. And we heard the message. We came, we listened, and from there, we was here not too long.
Hold on, so you came to church and visited, and that's when you heard the message about the cohabitation challenge?
It was. So this is something that my wife has been nudging me, and you know how women, they throw the nuggets like, hey, and I was like,
Don't be specific. What was she saying?
She was like, I need to man up. I need to man up.
How long y'all were living together? How long?
We were going on 2.
I'm
sorry.
Going on 2
yeah,
years?
we were going about 2 years. So what actually happened? So we didn't even know about the 30 days challenge. He actually got a call from one of the people over the counseling, and we had missed that Sunday, and he was like, Otis. And he was like, yeah, what did he ask you? Like, are you ready or something? He was like, what? Yeah, we're coming to the council. He was like, oh, so you weren't there. He was like, what? And anyway, so that's how that happened. He called him and said, get here to the church. Basically, pastor made this announcement, and that's how that happened. So that's why we fell in love with Concord, because we were literally visiting. And that's how
and then God visited y'all.
Yes.
They said they was visiting them, but God visited them. Boy, that's what I'm talking about. And so y'all came, and that was in 2009.
2009.
How do you feel knowing that God was so intentional that he, by design, set you up to come visit, for you to hear that, and now this is your home? How do you feel about that, looking back?
I mean, you look back, he orchestrated everything. It's like God plays chess while we're kindly play checkers, right? Yeah. He knows everything and how he's manipulating things and putting things into place. And looking back at it, we've learned so much from the church, been involved with the ministries, and it's just a lot of growth. Our kids are involved and everything. So it's just been a blessing to have and kind of set us up for success.
So why did you decide? Because every man has a choice. Every woman has a choice. What made you submit to what Pastor Carter was preaching, the call to man up, as your wife said? What made you submit to that?
Personally, I know better. We all know better. It's just a matter of if you want to continue to do what you want to do, and be the hard head. My parents are married. They've been married for 48 years.
Really?
So I've seen what a good marriage look like. And I knew better. It's just, again, you were being selfish. You want to do what you want to do. But God's been tugging on my heart, and finally I just had to submit.
So let me ask you this. You saw a healthy marriage for all those years. What made you decide the cohabitation route? Was it due to finances? Were you afraid of commitment? Look, she was shaking her head. She answered for it. He had money. That wasn't the reason. She was that ain't the reason. So what was the reason, King?
Well, I had just moved here from New Orleans. So I came out here because of Hurricane Katrina.
Okay.
So I was part of that little.
And we were on a fast track with our relationship. That's what happened.
Explain it. What you mean?
Meaning we met, and within a year, we were living together and having a baby coming on the way. So we were on a fast track. And we just wanted to make sure, because I learned very early on, children do not make you stay. Absolutely. Okay? So we wanted to make sure that we really liked each other and we could actually raise our family. We did it out of order, but that's the truth. That's what happened. And being, in an environment that was willing to invest and just willing to show you the way, not just, like you said, scorn you or, show you. It was just amazing, and we did not look back since then. It's just like, that's amazing.
So Otis, what was holding you up?
For me, it was just a matter of me making that decision. I had to finally kind of like, I was doing everything else right. I was going to church, I was tithing, I was praying, I was studying, and I'm doing all these things right. But yet, there's one part of my life that I know I am doing wrong. And I didn't want to lose out on a blessing because I wanted to be hard-headed and do what I wanted to do. So I just had to finally submit. And he's been constantly on my heart. And, even my dad, my mom would make comments and everything. And I know right. So it's just a matter of me getting out my own way.
So what did you think looking back after you've done it the first time, and then when you saw the other couples come through the next time they did it? Was that an emotional moment for you to know that they were about to embark on what was afforded to you?
Yes, it is definitely emotional. It's again a blessing to have a church that is willing to stand by what they preach.
Exactly.
I say one thing, but I'm going to also show you the path. Yeah. And not just show you once, but to continue to do it over and over and over again. And again, just the genuality of Pastor Carter and his wife and the heart that they have for their members is just unmatched.
And how many years y'all been married?
You're looking at me?
Yeah.
Going on 16.
Yeah.
Going on 16. Y'all got to give it up for that. 16 years of marriage. That's absolutely beautiful. And I'm going to have to ask y'all this. Has it gotten hard to where y'all was about to throw in the towel?
I'm saying no. I don't know what he's saying. I mean, we've had, I'm sure, moments where it's tough, but I told him well, at least in my mindset, I don't, and I still don't believe in separation. I feel like either you're going to be together or you're not. So either we're going to do it or we're not. Like, we're going to work at this, you know what I mean? And that kind of changes your mindset as far as like saying divorce. Because, you know, some people are like, oh, well, let's have a time apart. We'll give 3 months. Like, no, either we going to do this, you know, and work this out through all our differences because we're not the same person. But no, I've never been like, I'm leaving him. So.
Otis?
Yeah.
I know.
No.
Otis, what's your testimony?
Nah, my testimony is the same. I was just going to say every relationship, no matter what it is always, you have to work at it, right? One of the things that I learned in our brotherhood that you have to be intentional. That's the word that we use, right? We have to be intentional in making time. And I remember I was having problems because I was working a lot of hours. I remember I called Pastor Carter and I was asking him like, man, like, she tripping. I'm working these long hours. I'm the only one working right now. She needs to, whatever. And he like, man, you need to save something for home. Like, yes, you are the breadwinner, but at the same time, you still need to save something for home. It's not fair for your job to get the best of you and get all of you. Then when you come home, there's nothing left in the tank. Yeah. And when he said that, I was like, I had to look at it a different way.
Let me ask you this, Carter. Either one of y'all can answer this. Studies show that the marriage rates in the Black community are decreasing. It's in the 30th percentile. And they said by 2030, it's going to be in the teens. Why do you think it's so important for marriages to exist in our community?
I think marriage is the foundation for the home, right? It is that commitment between the husband and wife that then builds a home for the children. I mean, there is something so significant about marriage being the cornerstone of the family. And not only that, but even in Scripture, it's the foundation that Scripture, when God begins it, he marries Adam and Eve, and then they begin to build from there. And so marriage is incredibly important. Jesus' first miracle, it's consistently the bride of Christ, the church. I mean, it's consistently, the marriage is crucial. But the Black families are dealing with so many challenges. The cohabitation's on the rise. So we really have a lot of work to do. I think the church has to be a champion for marriage, right? I think the church has to champion and help men to understand our role. Because the truth be told, when we talk about cohabitation, at the end of the day, it's not the woman that doesn't want to get married or delaying. Oftentimes it sits at our feet, where men are not taking that step, not taking that responsibility. And so you end up where we are today. And so I think those are issues. One, helping men to understand marriage is a good thing, right? It's a valuable thing. It's not something you want to wait and delay it till, I've done all I can do and now I'm going to get married. No, it's a beautiful institution. It's a beautiful relationship. And the blessings that come with it are significant, but we got to learn to value it, hold it high. And then you got to, to be honest, right? The whole sexual temptation piece. Men are often taught to enjoy as much as they can and delay it. We got to teach men that marriage is important. When you find something good, make sure you commit to her and stay with her, not delay it.
Well, Pastor Carter, let's talk. What are we taught as men. Like we're taught stuff like, a man is about to walk down the aisle in 2 hours. And back in the groom suite, it was like, you finna get that old ball and chain. Why is it spoken of like we about to have a death walk or something? Why is it so? And they're like, you're gonna leave all these women to me. You just got the same one woman for the rest of your life. We just make it so bad. Why do you think that is?
The world has taught us that, right? It's not a biblical perspective. A biblical perspective says marriage is valuable, that it's your opportunity to serve Christ as you serve your wife. But the world tells us that men have a high sex drive, and the world tells us get as much as you can from as many as you can. And so many men spend a lot of years living that out, enjoying the opportunities that they have, and then later on settle down. And so we have to redefine.
Pastory right now. All in my head, I'm like, they're hoeing out. You're so pastory right now. Yes, and you know the world.
This is the facts, as she has said. This is what men do. We get as much as we can. And we don't until we realize that doesn't work, right? At some point, that gets old, right? At some point, hopefully, it gets old.
Man, does it get old? Absolutely. I mean, y'all better answer right there.
You answer quick. I like that.
Let me go to the couple of 2016. Listen, Kelvin and Pashua. So what made y'all decide to take the call and participate in the grand wedding?
Well, we both come from two-parent households. So we have seen very up close what that looks like. To say that we had challenges in our relationship up until the point of me moving down here would be a understatement. And a lot of it was me. I had been married before. And some of the baggage that I carried from being divorced, I allowed to show up in our current relationship. So we moved down here.
Moved from where? Where'd y'all move from?
We're from Milwaukee.
He ran away.
He ran away?
Run.
You ran away from home?
I drove.
He said he drove. He didn't run. He got in the car and drove. So you came all the way from Milwaukee.
Yes.
And what year was this?
This is in 2014.
So 2014, all right.
Yes. And to back up what Otis said about just feeling the draw here, I came to Concord. I heard Pastor Carter preach one time, and I knew I was going to join Concord. I thought I was gonna visit other ministries and find a place, but I heard him preach one time, and I was like, yeah, this is. I don't know what else we're gonna figure out, but we got a church. When I came to Concord, but it was something we had been talking about for a while. We knew we wanted to. And I will say, as Pastor Carter just mentioned, I still had cold feet because when we first met, I had sworn off getting married again. I didn't want to have children. I was like, the pain of that was still very, very fresh. But something about her, even in the way that we met, it was different. She was special. The way that she kind of called me to, as Otis said, step fully into my manhood and treat her as the blessing that God had sent me. And just, again, hearing the call that we didn't know that was going to be what the message was that day, but hearing it, we kind of looked at each other. And I told her, I said, he's talking to us as Pastor Carter was issuing that challenge. And he absolutely was. And it wasn't even really a decision. We just kind of looked at each other and shook our head and said, whatever this has got to look like, we're going to do it.
So hold on. How many times had y'all visited prior to that call?
Oh, yeah, we had. She moved down in 2015. So we were already attending Concord. We had been at Concord for probably 7 months together before the cohabitation challenge was
So y'all were dating for how long before y'all took part in the grand wedding?
For 4.5 years.
4.5 years?
Mm-hmm.
So we actually met in 2011.
Okay.
And so we were dating. And then he moved here in 2014.
So you had a long distance relationship.
We had a long distance relationship for 1 year. And we picked a date, November 15th. And we said, 1 year from now, I'm going to move down and then we're just going to live together. So we were shacking up for 7 months. And then Pastor Carter issued the call for the Cohabitation Challenge. And like my husband said, we looked at each other and we said, he is talking to us and this is what we need to do. And we have to trust and have faith, and we did.
So did you have any fear? So were you putting pressure on him to get married in those 4 years?
No.
None whatsoever?
I was not.
So you was okay with living together?
I was okay. I trusted him.
So you trusted that he will do what? Because
The
he
right
said he didn't want to
thing.
get married. Did he tell you he wasn't going to get married? He didn't
He
want to have
did.
kids? And you
He
trusted
did.
what? He was going to change?
He told me that he did not want to get married and he did not want to have kids. And I said, it's okay. I trust you.
What did you trust?
I trust that he would, like he said, step into his manhood and just really listen to what God was saying to him. And when we first attended Concord together was that first Sunday that I moved down in 2015 in November. And he told me, he said, we could stay at Concord or we could go to another church. And it felt like home when we stepped into Concord. When we sat down in our seats, I said, this feels like our home. And I trust and believe that we will grow together because I know that this is where we're meant to be.
So hold on, Pashua. So listen, because this is interesting. It's so good because this women I don't trust him. He done told me what it is. I should have listened what he said at the first time. You're betting on futures. So you're saying that he told you straight up he does not believe in marriage. He's not going to get married anymore, get married again, didn't even want to have kids, all that. And you trusted his leadership to lead you where? Did you desire marriage?
I did desire marriage, and we had talked about marriage, and we talked about what he was afraid of, trying to get married again. And I understood why he was afraid. And so I just believed that, if I wanted to get married, if he wanted to get married, God could turn that around. I didn't want to force it. I didn't, nag him every single day saying, what else is there? I just believed that, this was going to happen if we just did what we were supposed to do.
Which is good. That's why you felt the importance of being in a church like this, where you could trust the leadership of the pastor to lead your Boaz. So I see what you're saying. So you're saying basically you trusted his leadership, but you understood that he had some pain that he had to work through, and so
Absolutely.
you just trusted that he would submit to leadership to be able to overcome those idiosyncrasies, so that he could become the man that you saw in him.
Absolutely. I believe that everybody has skeletons in their closet, and he was able to reveal those to me. And so knowing that he was able to reveal those secrets to me and me not judge him for any of it, me understanding that, everybody has relationship PTSD.
Yes.
And so I trust and believe that, we can overcome whatever it is that we're going through if there's no judgment. I'm not judging you for the things that you have been through. I'm not judging you for the things that you have done, but I'm building on the promise of, tomorrow. I'm building on the promise that, we're going to be in the Word. We're going to be, having a relationship with God. We're going to be having a relationship with each other. We're building our relationship based on this foundation that God said, hey, let me be at the center of your relationship and I will cover all of you.
Now you see why I changed my mind, right?
Yeah. I was about to ask you. So did you feel the responsibility at that point when you have a woman that's rocking with you like that, that's saying, hey, you can reveal, your flaws and all. Whoever you are, I'm not going to judge you. Did that make you or inspire you to rise up to the challenge?
Yeah, it absolutely did. Something that we talk about in CSI, Couples Seriously Interested, is when a woman, when they enter into the marriage relationship, it's seeing the God, seeing Jesus standing next to and behind the man. One thing I'm very, very thankful for.
You got to say it again for the people in the back. You said, now say that again.
Yeah, you have to, for a woman, a wife to submit to a husband. First of all, that's often a 4-letter word, right?
Yeah.
Right? That evil word of submission. But for her to do so, it's not just the man that she's trusting. It's really the Jesus she sees behind him, guiding his decision, working on his heart, working on his mind, working on his decision-making process. And one thing I'm very, very thankful for is my wife trusted the Jesus she saw behind me more than I did at some point. Because I thought my baggage, the things that I had been through, the scars I brought into our relationship would be too much for us to overcome. She didn't. So in that way, she trusted Jesus behind me more than I did for a period.
I got a question. Sheila, how long do you think you would have waited for
I was about to ask her that. Yes. Because I was like, you trust him, but would you have waited like 10 years?
You know, we actually talked about marriage. And so it's been, like conversations that we've had in the past. And so, I mean, I felt like he was leaning towards that direction. But, if you push too hard, he'll pull away.
Yeah.
So my job is to make sure that,
men,
I'm encouraging him and not pushing him.
So you found the balance between encouragement and not pushing.
Yes.
Isn't that interesting?
Tough balance.
It is, ain't it? And so explain to people who's hearing this terminology, CSI. Is that something that people, just explain what CSI is.
So CSI is our premarital class. It's called Couples Seriously Interested, a 12-week class, but it's designed for couples that are serious about their relationship and for to help them decide, are we moving toward a pathway to a marriage, or maybe we are not as compatible as we think.
And so have y'all had that the beginning of the inception when you took over in ministry here?
Yeah, so we've always had some type of premarital. It's evolved over time to strengthen it, and that's the same tool we use for any couples, whether they're cohabitating or not. We offer it 3 times a year, and it's designed to help couples to learn the basics and the foundational principles for relationships, and then it helps them to take, a next step. Some end up marrying at it, and some find out halfway through we're not where we need to be. Yeah.
And you don't have to be a member to take it.
Oh, you don't?
No.
So why y'all have it like that?
We always want to reach people. I mean, our goal is to reach people, whether they're in the church, in the community. We just love people, want to reach them, so we're always open to anybody.
See, y'all do stuff that's just, like y'all think is normal. That's not normal. I'm telling you that. It's not normal for churches to open up the doors actually to the community. And so every time you say something like that y'all think is just because it's the culture of y'all church, I'm going to amplify the fact that that's not normal. And so the fact that y'all do that to say, hey, and I'll share this. It's been churches. I was trying to find a church in Los Angeles. Like I said, I'm getting married, to even, rent the church to actually get married to. And they're like, well, if you're not a member here, you can't rent the church. I'm like, well, my money is good as y'all members' money. Why can't I do it? They're like, no, we don't do that. I was like, man, I said, it's so hard to find churches that say we're all the body of Christ. And so what I love about Concord is y'all not playing with that with the slogan, we grow people. And the reason why I keep echoing it, because that's one of the things that touched me the most. I said, we grow people. I said, that's what I'm talking about. That's what churches should be about. What you want to say?
No, we appreciate that. I mean, that's our DNA, right? We just believe our mission is people growing people by connecting them to their next step with Christ. And so we just believe that we're in the city for the city, and we believe the more we can impact and serve our community, the more we can spread the gospel, and the more people can experience the wholeness and the potential and the power to which God has called them to live their lives through a relationship with Him and in community. So we're grateful.
Love it, love it, love it. All right, y'all a little behind me, but 2022, y'all got married.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and explain your story, Evan and Deasia.
So we have quite a unique story. We've been knowing each other a very long time. We are high school classmates. We graduated high school together. We never
What
had...
school y'all go to?
Washington Chapel High School in Pine Bluff, Arkansas.
Oh, a lot of y'all be coming from other states, huh? y'all got anybody from Dallas around here? Y'all from Dallas? See, everybody just everywhere. Y'all take people from all across the United States.
Dallas is a huge transplant city.
I know, but everybody just keep popping up from everywhere. All right, so go ahead.
The pull of the ministry.
Yeah, so like I said, graduated high school together, never had any relation. Did I want her? Yes. Did I get her? No. But that's another story for another day, because I joke with her all the time, and I just tell her, if I would have gotten you in high school, we wouldn't be here today, because I was a boy, not a man. And I had a lot of growing to do during that time, and of course she agreed. So matriculated on. I went to my university, she went to her university, and she moved to Dallas. Don't quote me on the year. 2017, and I was still in Arkansas getting my bachelor's, and I went directly back for my master's, so I stayed there till 2019. Matriculated to the professional world, after I got my master's. Of course, she was still in Dallas. Had my first stint at Grambling State, so I was down in Louisiana for a year and a half. Pandemic hit, and then I took another position down at Jackson State while Deion Sanders was there in athletics. And so during my time, we were doing distance. As you hear all of that, we're doing distance at this point. So we This was like, when was this? This was like in May, Memorial Day of 2020, May 2020. I came down to Dallas just visiting, and you know how you post on the gram, we grilling this weekend, how you come pull up or whatever. And so she slid up and she said, me and my girls in town, where are y'all? What's the move or whatever? And I was like, okay, y'all can come over or whatever, and I see you the address. Fast forward, I stood her up. I didn't send her the address.
You didn't stand her up. It was going well. You done stood the woman up.
Yeah, so cause like I said, I've been wanting her since high school, haven't heard from her since probably high school. I'm like, I just know she probably didn't mean to slide up on my story, So
you thought it was an accident?
Yeah. So fast forward, I stood up. I was talking to one of my guys, and I felt bad the next day. And I was just like, man, I think I missed out on an ample opportunity on my forever. And
Hold on. You didn't say my forever, did you?
Yes. I said, I think I missed out on an opportunity on my forever. And he was like, what are you saying? I was just like, I remember I told you Deasia, her girls are here, and now it's a new day, and that may not be the same today. So I said, you know what? I'm still going to shoot for it. I'm still going to go for it. And so I had hit her up. I said, hey, sorry, things transpired the way they did, yesterday. Are your girls still here? It's Memorial Day. You off, you off Monday, so you still kicking it on Sunday. Yeah. So I told her, are your girls still here? And she was just like, unfortunately, they're going home. And so I'm just like, I'm telling my guy, I'm devastated. I don't know what to do. And I just sat and thought, and I actually prayed. And I said, God, this for me, let it be for me. And this is what I text her. And she can quote me if I lied. I text her, I said, what's your plans for today? And she was like, I don't have any plans. This is my exact message was, Razoo's, 3 p.m., be ready. Is that okay? And she texted back and she said, yes. It is pouring down rain. I was like, the devil is working overtime. It is pouring down rain. I'm like, I just know she was about to counsel. She was about to counsel on me, but I still saddled up. Went and got her, went to Razoo's. Y'all know the day good when you don't really eat the food and, you got to take the entire place to go. But just to fast forward, we stayed in Razoo's probably 3.5 hours. Just talking. And so that began kind of our journey, because after that, I basically kidnapped her that day and told her, you're going to be with me all day. We're gonna enjoy this, because I don't know if I'm making another opportunity. I'm going to make the most of it. So that was that. We started having conversation after that. The more you talk, the feelings grow and things like that. Keep in mind, we're still doing distance at this time. Yeah. And so I'm down in Mississippi at this point. She's here. It's a 6-hour hike. It was every other weekend I was doing it, coming back and forth, just because I really wanted this to work. And if she had to come to me, I would fly her to Mississippi. But we kind of made it, and I would drive. So fast forward November, she gets pregnant.
November of 21.
November 21, she gets pregnant, and we're still doing distance at the time. She's here, I'm there. And so I told her, she was like, she's crying. She's like, because we were actively trying, I will say, but she was like, what am I
trying to get pregnant?
Yeah, we were.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Make it plain.
Yeah, she was like, what are we going to do? That's the very first question. What are we going to do? And I was just like, what do you mean what we're going to do? We don't have a choice. It's time to figure out what we're going to do. And so I told her, I said, I'm going to tell you something, and I know it's going to sound crazy. This is in November. I said, when it gets to a point of where it's too much, let me know. I'm going to quit my job. I don't care if nothing else is lined up, because I trust in him. And that's exactly what I told her. And I said, please, I'm telling you, voice that to me when it gets too hard. I'm open. Voice it to me, and I promise you I'm going to do exactly what I said. So February, fast forward to February, comes around. You get the Valentine's Day cheers. We did that, and it was tough going back the several ways that last time. So maybe a couple weeks after that, she finally voiced. She was like, hey, you remember what you told me back in November? I think it's time. I didn't put in the 2 weeks notice or nothing. I left that exact weekend, packed everything up, and I came here, and the very first thing I did, it was on a weekend. Sunday, I got up, and I came to Concord. I don't know. It was just like I was sitting there and I was just like, I'm home. That's what I kept
Hold on. Did you
telling
know about the church prior?
Yeah. So I had a backtrack. So 2019, after I moved from Arkansas, I actually came to Dallas. Okay. This is the place that I always wanted to reside. So I came to Dallas, tried to find my way. Opportunity came at Grambling that I couldn't kind of pass up. So I moved away. And that's how all of that started. But in 2019, similar to Kevin's story, I said I was going to date churches, get here, kind of figure out what. I heard Pastor Carter preach twice, and I joined the third Sunday. I didn't even have to go anywhere else. And so I joined, and then once I joined, like I said, everything else, the rest was history. I watched live when I was in Louisiana, Mississippi. I still watched live every single Sunday. And then that's when I moved back in February, I introduced her to Concord. And so once I introduced her to Concord, keep in mind, she's pregnant still through all of this. So, she's pressing her way, coming to church. She didn't really know anything about Concord, never attended. And so I, kind of told her about it or whatever. And we fast forward, and now we're in April, now we're in May, and we steady going. I joined the worship team and the choir and the choir in March. So March, April, May, we're steady, transitioning and going on. And so that's when, boom, he starts the Cohabitation series. It was like, I think end of May, like June, because we got married in September, so it was June. Yeah. So every Sunday was kind of like a toss-up. You throw the ball up, you don't know if she's going to feel like, she's pregnant. So it was like, Sunday, are you going to live stream? I'm going. I'm in the church, regardless of what it is. And in the days that I had to sing, we had to be here pretty early. So she's always, live streaming. And it was 2 services at the time. So that particular Sunday, he started the Cohabitation series. I was here, she was home. And I was just sitting there. And when you get that burning sensation, like, I'm like, God, you like stepping on all 10 of my toes. Like, I'm curling them back like, oh, he caught his own me. He on my toes. He talking directly to me. And so I I said, I don't know if you watched the sermon today yet, but Pastor Carter is talking about this Cohabitation series that I don't really know anything about. She didn't know anything about. But I think it may be a good opportunity. Her, absolutely not.
Hold on.
I don't know.
All right. Hold on. So you said absolutely not. Why, DeAsia?
I don't think it was a hard no for me, but
it was a no. Why?
Listen, and even towards the end, I still was unsure, if I'm just being honest. Like, I hadn't really made my decision. It was probably the end of August where I was like...
Oh, the microphone close under everybody. Hear this.
Where I was like, okay, we're going to do this. After going through the whole 90-day challenge and just praying and fasting, I literally remember coming up to the church. Again, nobody in my family knew that we were going through this challenge. None of my friends knew, because it was something that I felt like was personal to us and between us and God. So I didn't even know that we would be here. Like, I remember coming, and I think that's when they were showing the dresses. And I think that's when I heard God, like, speak to me and was like, you're doing this. Like, it's time. And I remember texting my mom in that room and telling her, like, me and Evan are going to get married. Mind you, this is like a couple weeks.
This is the first time you told them?
Yes. Yes. So I was unsure, literally the whole time during the challenge. I was showing up to the sessions, and I'm like, I don't know. I still don't know. But
so what was bringing your apprehension?
I think what was bringing my apprehension, of course, like, me and him had been together for like a year and a half. So I also felt like we were still kind of getting to know one another. We were still growing in our relationship. We still had things that we needed to work on individually. And so I feel like that was a lot of my apprehension, but I saw how serious he was about it. I literally saw the changes that God was doing through him. And that's really what made me come to that decision.
So, Dej, I'm going to put a bookmark right here. Now, listen to this. Pastor, she said, I don't think we knew each other enough, but they knew each other enough to have a whole kid, to get pregnant, and planned it. I'm going to say it. That's what you were thinking, Stephanie. I'm going to say what you was thinking. But that's what people do. They say, I don't think we know each other well enough to get married, but we can live together, we can have kids together, we can share bank accounts together. What do you think that is?
I think it's just a fear of commitment at times, right? Sometimes we have our own wounds, we've been hurt, right? We got our own baggage. And so sometimes we come in saying, but I don't know how far I'm going to go. Can I really trust you, right? It's these trust issues and this fear of, can I really trust you? Are you going to really accept me? Are you going to love? Are you going to be committed to me? All of these things are in your head. And so you just keep waiting. You keep putting it off. You keep putting it on. And so you have to ask a question like, at what point is it going to be enough for us to say we know each other, we know enough about each other, we trust who you are, and we're going to take this step? I think marriage is a risk, period. It's always a risk. There's never a sure thing. You never know what's going to happen on the other side, their health, all kinds of challenges. But it's a faith journey. It's us doing the work together, learning each other, working on our relationship. But at some point, we got to say, you know what? I love you for who you are. You love me for who I am. We've learned this together. We've got the skills. Let's take a step of faith together. But it's not easy. I mean, particularly at their age. I mean, you're young. People keep delaying marriage more and more because they're continually trying to wrestle through these trust issues as opposed to working through them well.
Stephanie, I want you to speak to that. What do you think that is? Your sisters. Your sister right here just said, I don't think I know them that well. What do you think that is? I know you mentor a lot of women.
I think sometimes it might be past hurts because, you know, growing up, I grew up and God bless my dad. He just wasn't a great husband. And so I saw that. So there was kind of like a hardness on me. And any boy who interacted with me, God bless you. You were so patient. But but there was just a wall. I had a serious wall. And so it's already kind of like a distrust. And so for me, like to submit, I can't even go, don't do submit yet, but just to let Brian in. It just started with trust. So it'd be little things. So when he would say he would call and he called, or if he said, hey, we're going out or whatever, and we actually did that. It was those little things that kind of tore down that wall. But it's a process because you carry that baggage and you kind of are like, I don't know. I'll give you this much. Yeah. So maybe I'll live with you for a season or maybe I'll do this. But really God is saying, girl, you're more than that. And I've sent you somebody that loves you and he's showing you that he loves you. So I need you to kind of let go of that past.
But to be fair, I mean, you are sitting in church and you get this challenge, and in that very day, so the service happens. You're supposed to be in the meeting at 2:00 right after service.
Oh, really? That's what happens?
Yes.
So hold on. So after you call it, you say you ain't got no time to contemplate.
I say, listen, we're gonna meet you at 2:00, and let's get this program started together. So I can understand a little bit of the, you need a little time to kind of process.
Pastor Carter, you say meet me at 2:00. They like, I was gonna watch the Cowboy game, and now you got me.
And the funny thing is, it's funny when he does the challenge. You see people in the audience, they be like, or you see them like after church, and you'll see them like talking to each other in the parking lot. Like, we need to come back. It goes down.
One lady watched it at 8 and then brought her husband at 11, didn't tell him. Or boyfriend. I said, she done set the brother up.
And so they sitting there like, because we after service we greet in the foyer. Yeah. So they'll be like, oh, this is mine, and they be looking like, oh yeah, and like we'll see you at 2. The girl will be like, we'll see you at 2, and he'll be like, oh yeah, and I'm like, see you at 2.
And see, for us, we didn't even much know about the challenge because I think the series was called The Flavor of Love. Right. That was the series called. So
it's called what? The Flavor of Love?
The Flavor of Love. And he had we came to church that Sunday, we got a good message, and then the next Sunday we went back to Friendship West. And then I get a phone call like, hey, you ready to make this move? I'm like, wait, what? Yeah, Pastor issued, you know what? Just come to church and do it. I'm like, okay, cool. So I told her, we came, and then again, not knowing what was going to happen, it was like, okay, stand up, raise your hand, here you go, oath. And I'm doing all this, not knowing what's going on. I'm like, set me up for it without knowing. And then we just went through with it. Like, okay, we got bullied into it, but that's what
I guess that's what God wanted.
Don't say bullied.
We're trying to help you.
You're gonna mess up your sexy time tonight. I got bullied into it, baby.
You can't say
all my life, this is what I want.
She's going to say 16 years later, now I realize that you just said I got bullied in this. So, Deja, let's go back to you. So what did your mama say? When you called your mama after you looking at the dress and say, hey, in 2 weeks, I'm about to get married.
It did not go well.
Oh, I know it
did. She was very upset. She was hurt. And she, of course, didn't try to talk me out of it, but just wanted to make sure that it was something that I really wanted. This is what we really wanted to do. Of course, if it was her way, it would have been different. But again, I felt like it was about us. And so.
So, Deja, one of the vows is forsaking all others. Why was it so important to forsake all others and go forward with this rather than submit to what your mom was saying?
Like I said, in that moment, God, He spoke to me, and He was very clear. Like I said, I was pregnant. We had a baby on the way. We had been cohabitating at that point since February, and He was crystal clear. And so I knew it was something that I needed to do. Again, I was extremely nervous about it. Again, I don't know.
So what was you nervous about?
It's a huge commitment. It's a huge lifetime commitment, and I'm one. I don't know. Once I get married, that's it for me. Like, I don't really believe in divorce. I just said I don't really believe in divorce. So I knew that this was something. If we were going to do it, we were in it for a lifetime. We were going to have to work at it. And so I think that's where my nervousness kind of came from. Kind of stemmed from. I knew how big of a commitment this really was.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that you decided to hearken to the voice of God, because you said, hey, God told me to do this. How did you feel? Let me just turn here, because then I'm going to get off y'all in a little bit. But I want to ask you, how did you feel knowing her apprehension towards marrying? Did you internalize it as feeling unsure about marrying you, or just being nervous about getting married, period?
So honestly, she never came directly to me and said, like, I'm having second thoughts or anything like that. Pastor talked about, he makes an announcement, meet me in the multi-purpose. I got the luxury of being here by myself, so I was going to that multi-purpose room regardless, Yeah. So even when she sent the text, like, absolutely not, I'm not doing that, I still went in there. I went in the car and I sat for a second, and I'm just like, I can't leave. I'm not leaving. I'm going back in there. And so at 2 o'clock, I went back in there, and then that next Sunday, he preached about it again. It was serious, so he preached again, and she was able to come that Sunday. I never mentioned anything about it. I waited kind of like, you got a deadline to kind of like register or whatever.
Hold on, let me go back. You went to the orientation by yourself the first time?
I absolutely did. Yes, sir. I went by myself. I went directly by myself.
That's leadership.
Yeah.
That's
a good
leadership.
man.
Yeah, that's leadership.
Yeah, I went by myself. So she came, like I said, the following Sunday. After service, I never got in the car, so, hey, what we're going to do? Are we going to check the box? Yes or no? So I let it be what it was. And I said, I'm just going to wait until the deadline, close to the deadline, give her time. And so I told her, I voiced it kind of towards the end. I was just like, hey, I think it's time for us to take that next step. And she was just like, that's when she finally was just like, okay, let's do it. I'll do it. But no, I'm not participating in anything outside of the counseling. She wanted the wedding with the bells and the whistles, and you know how that goes. But that counseling is literally so intense. Like, even some of the small groups that we were in, some of them really didn't make it. And they found out that they weren't compatible. Like Pastor talked about, you find out so much about a partner that's not your partner, that's your friend. And you should keep them as a friend. And so, as we matriculated on the 13 weeks, she really looked into the bigger picture, was you and I, being together. It's not about the bells and the whistles and the wedding. And so once we got to the end, that's when she was just like, I don't know what the production is going to be like, but I want to participate in it and I'm willing to do it. And after this, we don't have to have a wedding. And so, your mindset changes after you go. And then I think she learned more about me and found out that, like she said, the changes, because I changed tremendously. I had, like I said, a lot of growing to do, and I'm okay with admitting that, but without God, I wouldn't be here. And I'm just, very grateful to be beside her today.
How long y'all been married?
We've been married 3 years. We just celebrated our 3 anniversary.
Congratulations, 3 years. Give it up for them,
Okay,
y'all.
I got a quick question. Were you pregnant when you had the wedding?
We had him literally 1 month before. He was born August 4th, and we got married September 10th.
Okay, because you looked amazing.
Thank you.
I remember you because I remember y'all.
Something was different. So, Damon Guillory and Hillary Hobson, y'all are getting married this Saturday. Hearing these stories, what are y'all thinking? How do you feel just hearing these testimonies?
I really think, this whole process with us has been a confirmation after confirmation after confirmation. Listening
Put
to
the microphone close to your mouth.
Listening to everybody's story, like every time somebody said something, sitting right here, we're looking at each other like, dang, that's our story. Dang, that's our story. We went to rival high schools. We knew we did something wrong, but we did it anyway. There was trials and we were long distance at a point. Like, everything that somebody has said, we've kind of lived and experienced it. And so I think for us, even getting into this process, we were like everybody else. We shopped churches too. We were going to. We were actually going back and forth between Concord and Embassy, and we were at Embassy, and they had the pastor preached about taking communion and what that meant, and literally, and we, like I said, we knew us living together was wrong. We had
How long y'all living together at that time?
At that point, it was probably about 9 months. So officially, we had been living at the end of this. We had been living together for a year, but at that point, it was about 9 months. And when it came down to it, it was a, hey, we trusted ourselves in this moment instead of trusting God. We both grew up in the church. And so when he preached about communion and what that meant and taking communion, rejoining the body of Christ, he literally looked at me in that service and said, hey, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we need to separate. So then it was Concord Church week, because like I said, we were going 1 week Embassy, 1 week Concord.
He said y'all need to separate.
Separate like living situations,
Okay.
not separate. Separate.
Y'all get back together. This communion, it just did something.
And so we literally after church that day, we talked about it, and we were like, okay, we don't know how it's going to happen, but we going to get the ball rolling. So then that next Sunday, we weren't at Concord. We were watching it online, and Pastor Carter introduces the Cohabitation Challenge.
You see what God doing? Let me tell you something. When I tell you, man,
I'm telling you, our story
you made me
is...
throw my mic at you, girl. so you said you was at one church. That's why I mean God is just bigger than the church. He can speak to you in one moment, connect you divinely to the other moment. But go ahead and tell your story.
And so he talks about the Cohabitation Challenge, and at that point, he just introduced the like, hey, we'll pay your rent part. And I was like, look, there you go. You moving out, buddy. Yeah, your time is up. The Lord has confirmed. Look at God. And so then that next week, that's when he re-announced the Cohabitation Challenge, but then he threw a little twist in there and said, oh, hey, we're actually going to do the 90-day add the grand wedding addition to it. And we had already signed up for we had been looking to sign up for CSI because one of the ladies that I work with, she's Angela. She gives your Aunt Viv vibes. When she found out that we were cohabitating, she was like, no ma'am. And so she told us about CSI. So literally up until that Embassy Sunday, on the website, it said, oh, it's coming, register. So, I mean, every week we were refreshing, going to the couple side on the website, refreshing it. Is it open yet? And so literally she texted it to us. She texted the screenshot of it on the screen and was like, it's open. Y'all need to do this. Literally while we're talking to each other saying, hey, we're gonna do this. And so that was that. I mean, it was literally step by step by step.
Damon, what made you turn to her and say we need to separate? Or move out, which would have been a better word. Just we need to move out.
God was real loud in that moment. It was something that had been pulling in my heart of wanting to, I knew that I wanted to marry her, but I knew that with how both of us were raised, with how both of us operate, we wanted to do it the right way. Because I've been married before. When I got married in college. Divorced for about 4 or 5 years now. But I knew that I wanted to marry her, but I knew I wanted it to last. I knew I wanted to do it the right way. And part of that was us not living together and us operating righteously with God, putting him at the center of our relationship was something that we hadn't really done. We were kind of, like she said earlier, we were trusting ourselves instead of God a lot of the moments. So in that moment when he was talking about communion and we were listening to it and he was talking about what it actually meant to do it, it was just a tug at my heart to take that step to do something the right way.
Whew. Now, when y'all get married, Hillary, what's your name gonna be?
My new name will be Hillary Guillory Doc. The mouse went up the clock.
Hillary Guillory.
You know, another confirmation in its name, I guess.
So how do your parents, how does your family feel about this?
I just I just got her dad's blessing this week. I'll just say that.
You just got it.
And I asked for it 6 months ago. So
and then what did he say this week?
So it's been a long process with him. He's very old school in how he
Victorian Puritans is what I call them.
Puritans?
Yes, I was raised by Victorian Puritans.
I'm gonna look that up and see what that means.
But he was already angry at us for living together. And, so for him, it was, he wanted us to rectify that situation before he could give his blessing, before he even talked about us getting married. And, they already have a history with their relationship. And I've known him for years just from being around her, and, the dating. So we had somewhat of a semblance of a relationship. We've had some conversations, but it was never actually anything fruitful of those conversations. So throughout this process, we have been talking back and forth, a few arguments in there. But last week on Thursday, her niece had a volleyball game in Baytown, which is where we're from, right outside of Houston. And the night before, we had a conversation with her dad. And, she had a conversation with her dad and her uncle, and they were able to hash some things out. And when she got off the phone, I was like, hey, we need to go down there. We need to go down there. And
so a part of it was...
Put your microphone closer.
A part of it was my dad... like I said, I jokingly say I was raised by Victorian Puritans, but for him, he's a PK kid. And so we were always taught there are no gray areas. And because we moved in together, we were living in that gray area.
Living in sin.
Yes. Quite frankly, yes. We were living in the sin. And my dad, he's old, he's very old school, and because we had dishonored that, for him it was we needed to come to him in a sense of we moved out and we apologized, then we asked God for forgiveness. But like he said, they didn't have a relationship. And so he didn't get to see the Damon that I knew. And for him, it was always, hey, there is a blessing that a father, when he gives his daughter away, like, it means something. And I had a little apprehension as well, because not over any of the superficial stuff, but we were always taught about a covering. And I had a moment where I was like, what if I got this far over my daddy's covering? Is he going to be able to cover me like him?
Yeah, that's real.
And so, because how important it was to him and how the biblical benefits and ramifications for giving that consent, he needed us to come down. And we were pig-headed. We were like, no, you had all of this time to get to know him. You need to be the one you're retired. You need to come to us. Like, we have to take off work to go down there and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And that conversation that me and my dad started having the conversation, and it was starting to get where we weren't even listening to each other. So I was like, you know what? Let me call Uncle Matt. And that's his brother. And we were able to have a conversation where there was a mediator of sorts in it that had no weight in the game in it of sorts. And so after that conversation, we talked and was like, okay, let's just submit in this moment. Because another part of what our journey has been is I've never been afraid of submission. My thing was always, are you going to be somebody I can submit to? And in that moment, God told me, you're asking this man to be somebody submittable to, but submit to your father. Submit to the guy that has raised you, your covering. Like, we ain't married yet, so that umbrella hasn't switched over.
Yeah.
And so in that moment, we had to get rid of our pride. And I took off. I used one of them good old state days. And we made the trip. And
let me ask you this. What did it mean to you? We look at 3 submissions. You're submitting to the father, then submitting to the father, your biological father, and then you're submitting one to another when y'all get married. How important was it to get your father's blessing?
it was very important, and I truly thank God for him, because it had gotten to a point where I was like, I don't care if he doesn't come. I got uncles, I got a brother, they'll walk me down. Like it had gotten to that point. And throughout it all, he always said he didn't understand me and my dad having those conversations that got nowhere. But what he did always say is, hey, I know you're saying that right now, but this is important to you. You're going to get to that day, and right now you're upset. Right now you're mad. So you don't feel the hurt yet. You're just feeling your anger. And so when he said, hey, when I told him about the conversation, and he said, hey, let's go down, we went down, because at the end of the day, I mean, they may not have the best relationship, but that's my father. And he has a daughter, and it not only like we're learning from we're downloading so much information and so many things, and it's like, hey, at the end of the day, what if Hayden was Hillary? How would you want her to rectify that?
Let me ask you this. What did her father say that gave you the blessing to marry his daughter?
It was actually, we were sitting at the dinner table having a three-way conversation, and they started their back and forth thing, not listening to each other at the table. And I stopped them both. And I was like, so what they were doing was rehashing the past. And that was literally the precedent of the conversation. It's like, hey, we're not going to talk about anything from the past. We're going to talk about moving forward. And somehow, some way, they still got to the past. And I was like, hey, like, this we've been sitting here for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and we've accomplished nothing. And so at this moment, like, what are we going to do from here? Where are we going to go from here? And he was like, well, why didn't you say something earlier? And I was like, I was waiting on the right moment. When God told me to step in this conversation, I did. I was sitting there, I was praying, I was reading her body language, checking her temperature, because at this point, I can look at her and know where she's at. And she was getting to that point where she was about to take it to another level.
Lift tables in the temple.
She said, lift the tables in the temple.
And it was in that moment I told him, I was like, I've been sitting here praying and I didn't have anything to say until now. And he was like, oh, I was praying to my brothers and I was talking to my brothers and I was telling him that I was waiting on you to show leadership and show that you can lead my daughter. And you don't even know what you just did in that moment, but that was it right there. That's what I was looking for.
So that's what I was saying right there in that moment. I was waiting for him to say that. The very covering that you was wanting to know. You said, my daddy has covered me up to this point. I'm not sure if he could cover me from this point on. God is so intentional. God is so divine. God is so omnipresent. He's omnipotent, and he needed that moment to take place so you can see your husband not stand up to your father, but cover you. And men, we understand real men. See, the act of giving your daughter away, that is a powerful thing to do. I had to do it 3 years ago when I gave my daughter to her husband. And I knew I made a good choice because even through health things that my daughter went through, he was covering her. Even when they brought my granddaughter into this world last month, I'm a grandfather. I'm a grandfather.
Congratulations.
Yes. Yeah, I'm a pawpaw. I'm gonna tell my little granddaughter, say, GP, are you with me? That's what she's gonna say. She's gonna call me GP. So he was covering her in the hospital when my granddaughter Claire was born a month early. But I knew that I made a great decision when I gave her away to him. And he needed to stand up exactly like he did in order for your father to say, now you have my blessing. Because it's so unfortunate that there's just a lot of weak men leading women nowadays. And so it's powerful to know that he had to go through that. And the father was like, why didn't you speak up early? But he was submitted to his heavenly father to wait for the opportune time to speak into that situation. So salute you, King. I'm proud of you for stepping up and doing that. And as you take this bride, when you take this woman to carry her and to cover her, you said some very, very powerful things. You said, I was reading her body language. I was reading her body language to see if it's getting past that threshold for her to go tear up the whole temple. Because she was about to tear up the whole temple in there,
Curtains
flipping over
everything.
tables in there, pull everything, act a complete fool a week before y'all got married. You know what I'm saying? You need all that energy all in that. And you said, let me watch this, let me step into it. What did it mean to you to watch your husband step into that situation?
Everything. Because not only did he do that, he likes to leave out things in the story, but he also, he was like, hey, I think y'all need a timeout. We had my niece's volleyball game to go to. It was getting time for that. He said, if you will allow her to leave this conversation, let her go get the stuff out the car, get dressed, and then come back once she's given time to.
You didn't step up like no husband, did you? Are you been a husband?
And in that moment, it then also allowed them to have a one-on-one conversation without me. And
that's what pastoring looks like right there. Good job over there, Pastor.
And they had that conversation. But the amount of growth that I have seen this man go through, he said it, CSI is intense. When we got the information and I downloaded the book that we're supposed to read, and I got to I skipped the introduction, but went to chapter 1, read the first couple of pages. I called him. I said, chapter 1, they already hitting us in chapter 1. But I mean, through CSI, this man has gone through everything. I mean, he's had to address issues of forgiveness, of all types of things, and seeing those things unlocked in him. and seeing the type of man he is now. Like, I loved him before this.
But now you in love with him, huh?
You know, like it hits different because he is different. Because literally every week, it was something else. It was another, we talked about trust and accountability. And I mean, our relationship by far has been and is not anywhere near perfect. But I mean, he's doing the work and like it's showing up in his life. And that in turn, I'm the middle child. And so I was the child that you didn't have to worry about. Now that first and that third one, I don't know. But
She done threw him under the bus. Look there. She done threw him under.
But I was the one that you didn't have to worry about. And in turn, I turned into somebody that, I like control. I like an order. I like a plan. That type of, but seeing him and trusting in the fact that he can lead me, my South girl era has arrived. Like I before this, you know, I was concerned with, I needed to, as soon as a problem came up, I needed to fix it. I needed to, okay, we're not even gonna think about it. We're just gonna go straight into fixing it. Hey, this is it, that, or the third. You know, I changed my own tires. Did all of that. And now we have a joke. I said, aren't you gonna lead today? Yeah, it's your turn to go get the gas. Go ahead, be that leader and go
Yeah. Man, I love it.
And being able to release some of all of that responsibility or control has freed it all up.
Freed it all up. Last question. What are you looking forward to the most in a wedding? I mean, when you get married.
Waking up to her every day. She's a blessing. Like, she's outside of my kids, she is the best thing that's ever happened to me. So, and I know what we have been through, what I've been through. So to have somebody like her, that's a blessing. So that's a reason to thank God every day, just by looking at her.
What about you? What are you looking forward to the most?
I'm looking forward to...
Microphone closer.
I'm looking forward to seeing the next things that God is going to do in our lives. Because, like I said at the beginning, our whole relationship, since this process has started, has been a confirmation after confirmation after confirmation. Getting them in, I mean, even as today, right now, you know, and the miracles that happen, that God does and things like that. I can't wait to see what else is that he got in store.
Yes, that's amazing. Carters, I want y'all to talk about that. Y'all just heard a dynamic testimony of the stuff that happens behind the scenes. Behind the scenes when God has spoken to y'all to make a call like this clarion call to the congregation to step up, but not realizing what's going on behind the scenes for them to take that stand, to forsake all others, to walk through this beautiful thing that y'all are affording people. What do you think, and what were you thinking when you were hearing their journey?
I'll start with y'all. I was thinking of just the maturity that you had with handling the situation with your future father-in-law, well, your future father-in-love. And just the maturity and the wisdom that you had with that. Because I don't think I would have had that. I think I would have flipped that table quick.
6 months ago, it would have been a whole different conversation.
I know I would have. And he knows I would have.
Absolutely. This has been, it's been really rich, because I hadn't heard the behind the scenes and so to hear, how God works in relationships, right? And how we in a setting, we issue the challenge, we invite you into the process, but you have to walk. You have to walk with God. You have to grow. You have to submit. You have to watch, learn. So I'm so proud of you guys. I mean, just to hear the journey that you've been on and how you've grown and the challenges, right? That's the tension. I mean, we related. We were in counseling ourselves, and the counselor, he said, man, y'all having sex? He said, something is wrong with y'all relationship. Y'all are all over the place. We were all out of order. So we remember.
We were so bad,
We were all
y'all.
out of order, and we were like, man.
We were so ignorant.
Like, how does he know this about us? We were like, wait a minute.
When he was like, the counselor literally looked at us. He's like, are y'all having sex? And we're like,
Why do you say that? What were y'all acting like?
because he said we were fighting, like an actual.
fighting.
He was like, we were fighting. Like,
We
now
were
he makes
arguing.
this claim that I told him I was going to bite his face off. Yeah, I don't
know why I believe that.
I don't even know. Not truly.
But there is something about that. I think the Lord uses those struggles during the dating season, the premarital time, to get us ready. Like so hearing those struggles just helps us know. I think that's how He prepares us. What you had to go through, what you had to face, what y'all had. I mean, I think the Lord does all that to prepare us for marriage, to give us the skills, to help us to know how to pray together, how to work through stuff, to learn each other's triggers and what to say, what not to say, and all those things. And then you got extended family. I mean, so you're not just marrying the person, you got their family, you got blended families, all of that. So I just think the Lord uses all of that. So I'm blown away and grateful for how the Lord uses it.
And I think you need to take these experiences that you're having and realize every day that you spend together, and whether you've been married 10 years or or a day or so on, you have to use these experiences to build upon, because you are going to have challenges.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would love to sit here and say our first year marriage was just so great. It wasn't. But we learned how to love each other. We learned how to fight. And, that was the reason why we joined Concord. Like, our story was we graduated in May, got married in June, moved to Dallas, and then joined Concord in July. And I remember the reason why we were drawn to Concord, we were doing the church tour like everybody else, because we weren't Pastor and Lady Carter then. We were just Brian and Stephanie, third grade teacher and a middle school teacher. And we were just trying to make it. And what drew us to Concord was our founding pastor and his wife. We looked at them on Sunday morning. We were kind of like, you know what? They look like they love each other. We need to be around something like that so we can love each other. And it just looked like it looked like love, and it looked like family. And then remember, they had a marriage conference, and we went to the marriage conference, and we won like all the awards because we were like the youngest couple there.
We were going to everything. We wanted to
going
figure
to
out how to do
everything.
this thing, man. And then, Kevin and Shore now lead the whole CSI. They lead the whole process. So they went through it, and now they're helping to lead that. And we're super proud of how you guys use you guys as well.
I want to go around real quick, and I want y'all to share, starting with y'all. What would you say to people that may be watching this episode that are cohabitating or shacking, whichever word you want to use? What would you say to encourage them to go from, y'all worded it best. What you say? Not commitment to cohabitation to covenant. So what would you say to encourage them to go from cohabitation to covenant?
I would say the world put marriage as if it's like a bad thing. People always downplaying marriage. They're always having sly words that they would say, and it's never positive. I know when I'm at work, people may come out, I'm never getting married. I'm like, well, you just haven't found a great wife, because I have one, right? So once you know you have one, once God has put your special bride in your life, it's a beautiful thing. Marriage is such a beautiful thing, and I'm grateful for it, and I'm a promoter of it. Like I tell everyone, like, if you have the opportunity, man up. The men, take the challenge and man up.
Monique Seabury.
I'm just agreeing with him. 100%. Because like we mentioned earlier, most of the time it is the male. We're just waiting for our knight in shining armor to come on. Not really knight in shining armor, but you know what I mean. Our husbands to come and take the lead. And you have to submit.
Good. Good. The Evans, what would you say to speak to those that are cohabitating, to go from cohabitation to covenant? What would you say to encourage them?
A few
15
things.
seconds all the way around.
Yep. A few things. First, understand, as Otis said, there's a lot of professional single people who are trying to tell you about what marriage should look like and have never done it, don't understand the covenant, don't understand the real work that goes into it. Find somebody who is living and earnestly submitting to what God has called them to do in their own marriage, to take advice from and pattern your relationship with. And don't think day one you're going to have the blueprint all right. There is a understanding of who you are as a husband, who your partner is as a wife, and who you are together that you have to get before you even start understanding how we do this thing together.
Good. Thank you, Kelvin. Pashua.
I would say that, if you've heard the testimony from some of the other couples, they talked about CSI being an experience and how it challenged them to be honest and faithful and, transparent about all the things that they've gone through. And so if you honor your relationship and if you put value in that relationship, trust God. And he'll give you that valuable thing. He'll honor that, relationship. He'll bless that relationship. And so just, give him that trust and know that, God delivers everything.
Good. Let's move on to the Murrays. Evan.
Yes, I would think for me specifically, for our generation, we tend to, I don't know, it's just all about the next and not the now. So when people bring to you, like, just for example, I remember when the number one question I got when she was pregnant with Ethan was, are you ready? And my counteractive question would be, how could I be ready for something that I've never done before? And that's the same thing when it comes to marriage. You're never going to be ready for anything in your life. Just like marriage is not a risk, but it kind of falls in the same umbrella where, hey, wherever you are in your life right now, I guarantee you, if you didn't take that leap, you wouldn't be there today. So if you took that leap to move to Dallas from your hometown, why not take the leap to be with your forever and then reap all of the benefits and the blessings that God has for your life?
Amen. That's good. That's good. The Asian.
I would say just take that leap of faith. This has literally been the best thing that has ever happened to me. And I feel like with life, there will always be ups and downs. And I once heard someone say, find someone who you can have a bad time with, because we find people and it's easy to have a good time with someone. And there's no one else that I would rather go through those bad times with. So just take that leap of faith.
Good, good. Future Hillary Guillory. Y'all getting married this Saturday.
Officially left-handed.
There it is. There it is. You're going to become a left-hand ring wearer. And so what would you say? 15 seconds. To encourage people who are coming out the same situation that you're coming out of to go from cohabitation to covenant. How would you encourage them?
Trust in God. At the end of the day, even if you're cohabitating with somebody, you're not going to officially know if you can trust them. But what you can do is trust in God, because he said he will never leave or forsake, no matter the good, the bad, the ugly, the worst. Taking the time and just making the decision to trust in God and to let him lead your decisions. Let him lead your life. Because at the end of the day, Damon may not have been the one for me. Like Pastor Carter said, they give us 3 choices, and that choice could have been it. No. But had we not trusted in God and trust that whatever he wanted to happen would happen, we wouldn't be here. So stop trying to trust yourself, because one day you like him, one day you don't. And trust in the one who never changes.
That's good. Damon.
Speaking as someone who brought kids into the situation, if you have kids, you want to show them an example that they can follow.
That's good.
And not only are you showing them a godly example of a marriage, you're in a covenant, you're also showing them taking the easy way out doesn't always work out for you. So make the hard decision, do it the right way, and you'll reap the benefits after.
The Carters, any closing remarks?
Man, thank you for hosting this. Thank you for giving us this conversation to talk. We just believe the covenant, right? We believe that dating to date is one thing, dating to marry is an entirely different thing. And we think as a follower of Christ, as God grows you, you're going to be growing to a committed relationship. And that marriage is a good thing. I don't care what the culture says, anybody else says, God says it's a good thing. And good things happen when we commit to God and commit to one other person. I think the Lord just does something in that act. He honors that. He blesses that in so many ways. So we just want to encourage couples to choose covenant, not just to settle for cohabitation.
That's good. Stephanie, got anything in your spirit?
I would just say that I would challenge any couple who's been married 10 plus years if you, to just pour into other couples. Not only pour into other couples, but pour into singles. Mentor a woman, mentor men, encourage them, be transparent about how relationships are, and just to be that support system and so on. Because I think sometimes it's so hard that whether you're in your 40s, 50s, I'm in my 50s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, that sometimes we gatekeep. And we don't need to gatekeep on relationships. We need to make sure that we're encouraging. We also, if we have young children, setting the model for them and modeling for them healthy, godly relationships.
That's good. Listen, again, I can't thank y'all enough for doing what y'all do in the body of Christ. Again, I don't take it lightly. I know that y'all have inspired me a lot watching the ministry that y'all have. I love the fact that y'all let each other be each other. You know, you let Stephanie be a redeemed thug, and you know what I'm saying? She's a born-again thug. And you let my boy be who he is. Yeah, be pastory. Yeah, that's the word, pastory. That's what you say, pastory. So I just love that. And I believe that that's so important in order to, you know, have a thriving relationship. So often we get in relationships trying to change that person to be who we are instead of saying, no, you know, Paula Abdul said when I was growing up, opposites attract. You know what I'm saying? Am I telling my age? He said,
hey, that was a good song.
It was, wasn't it? She said, opposites attract. And so he said, I ain't never heard it. You done told your age. And so, Paula Abdul, yeah, was on American Idol. Was that the lady on American Idol?
Look it up on YouTube.
Yeah, look it up. You know, so she said opposites attract, and I respect that. And so what I love about y'all is that y'all are unapologetically who y'all are. And that's the reason why people can come one service and say, I'm supposed to be here. That's why they can pop up one service and say, God spoke to me, I'm supposed to be here, because that's so foreign. Unfortunately, is to see leadership model what they preach and also be a place and a safe space for people to say, hold on, not one person said they felt judged because they were cohabitating. They felt challenged, but they didn't feel judged. And so keep leading like you're doing. Y'all about to, it's going to be 26 couples?
Yes, so we'll marry 24 couples.
24
couples are going to say I do together, and we're so excited for them. They've completed all their classes. So
how many did you start off with this year?
We started out with probably close to 40, I think.
40.
Probably close to 40. And as we went through the journey, and 24 now have made it through the obstacle course. They're on the other side.
So is it really that hard, y'all?
Yes.
It is.
It really
so you understand when people drop off?
It became that week was real hard. We lost a couple.
So y'all know when the week is about to approach where you say it's about to get really tough and they about to fall off?
Yeah, we challenge them.
Oh, you have homework.
Yeah, we challenge them every week, letting them know this is going to be something more difficult than you've done. It's going to challenge you in ways you didn't think you could be challenged. We tell them in orientation, you're going to have conversations you have never had before. And they look at us and they're like, okay, yeah, whatever. And then week one comes and they're looking at us as we're discussing the homework, and they've had these conversations. And I'm going to say one word to all of y'all: heart talk. Heart talk is
popping out and sweating now.
Man, it has you deal with the things that you've tried to pack down and bury and hide in the closet and take the light off of, and it brings them to light so that not only you are aware of what's influencing your decisions, but your partner is. And letting someone in, that takes trust, that takes you being transparent, and it's difficult. And the conversations that happen during the session and during the week after the session are transformational.
So they also, sorry, Pastor, so they also hit you when you first get into the challenge with the purity covenant.
No sex.
No sex for 90 days. 90 days.
Everybody just drop out. Well, that time, I guess I came. At least I showed up. But
the best
And we never try to force it. So although it's a 90-day challenge, if we feel like a couple's not ready, we make those decisions, right? And say, well, let's give them more time before we prepare for that. So we've learned a lot of lessons over the years in terms of how to care for couples and shepherd them well through the process.
So y'all make the decision for them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's okay. So we don't think this is where God is leading you in this season of your life. We're going to need a little bit more time. We're going to be doing this in another 3 years, and we're going to invite y'all to come back.
That is actually the case. We had 3 couples this session do CSI for a second time because they knew, we had an honest conversation, either us or other facilitators said, y'all been through the class, but you haven't gotten what God has for you here. So take time, continue to work on the relationship. CSI will be here again. And 3 couples came back and did the whole process. And to all 3 of them said, we are so thankful that we did it again because we didn't get what we were supposed to do. Sometimes it's individual growth we needed or a collective growth, or maybe there was something going on at the time we tried to go through class that was a distraction and we couldn't really focus and hear directly from God. There was white noise that was clogging our ears, so we couldn't be quiet. We couldn't hear exactly what God was saying to us. And so we're thankful that CSI isn't a one-time, one-shot. If you don't get it right, we can't take you back through the program. And I think all 3 of them got what they needed this time, and the relationships will be better for it.
You know how powerful that is, though? I hear a great testimony of the fact that they actually went through it. Because a lot of times, this is showing us that we don't need to be together, period. And then they'll tap out and just end. But the fact that they coming through another time, I'm telling you, that those couples are going to have a powerful testimony because they're going to be able to share that they went through it both times and what they've learned the second time around. And so, again, shout out to the whole ministry for building strong marriages, not just getting people married, but providing tools so that they can have lasting marriages. Listen, man, thank y'all so much for tuning in to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. This was a powerful episode. Y'all know at the beginning of this year, I said that my goal, my mission, my mandate is to increase marriage rates in the Black community and decrease divorce statistics while providing tools so that we can have stronger, healthier marriages. And Concord Church is leading the charge in that. So thank y'all. Make sure that y'all follow Concord Church. Make sure that y'all support the ministry. There'll be a link in the description. And they also have a powerful podcast yourself. Talk about y'all's podcast.
Man, so we got a book called Made to Last. It's available on all platforms. You can follow myself and my wife. And then we also have a podcast that's called
Made to Last. Do a whole podcast tour, right?
Made to Last. And we have a conference that'll be coming next year called Made to Last. We've been on a tour this fall, going to several churches across the city, teaching marriage conferences. So we love pouring into couples. We've made a lot of mistakes. We've learned a whole lot of lessons. And so it brings us a lot of joy to be able to pour and invest in couples. We'll be in Houston and Tulsa. We just left St. Louis. And so we just enjoy pouring into couples, investing in them, and helping them to have the tools that they need. Because all of us need it. I mean, we've been married 27 years now, and so we're still learning. We're in a new season. Our oldest is about to graduate, so we're learning how to navigate.
She has graduated.
I said our oldest is about our son, baby.
You said our oldest is about to graduate.
I mean our youngest.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have a tension right here. There's some tension right here.
I said the oldest. I know how old my kid is.
Yeah. No, we don't. Y'all.
Yeah. Well, anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. We still trying to figure this thing out. But yes, we learn from each other. We never arrive. I think that's the thing about couples, right? You never land, but you're always growing together so that you can be healthy in every season of your relationship. So yeah, we Made to Last Live is our Instagram and as well as our website.
Y'all know when the marriage conference is going to be next year?
It'll be the last weekend of August. Last weekend of August, right here in Dallas, Texas at Concord Church.
And so they can find out about all this. How can they stay abreast?
They can stay abreast at briancarter.com. They can go there and get the information as well. But primarily our Instagram, Made to Last Live, is where they can get the information.
How old are y'all? 30. And they've been married almost as long as y'all been on this earth.
30? We're so old.
Just turned 30 a couple weeks ago.
When they said 27, I said, it's about around y'all age. Been married about as long as you've been living.
Oh, babe.
Listen, y'all give it up for this dynamic panel. Thank y'all so much for having me here. Thank y'all for being transparent and vulnerable. Y'all give it up from y'all.
Stay tuned to the end for a letter to my future wifey.
Been writing these love letters to you. Ladarian, thrusted suddenly into Child Protective Services in 2015. My nephew, Black, a boy. The likelihood of being adopted outside of kinship, slim to none. Armani, 16 years old, Black, a boy, with 5 years in the foster care system before I even knew his name. The likelihood of ever being adopted, yep, you guessed it, slim to none. While Ladarian and Armani were trying to survive and barely thrive in an overpopulated and underfunded foster care system, I was living my own life, doing well professionally. Having been a single father with a daughter who at that point was doing well in college, it was my time to live my life, right? Wrong. I felt unsettled, tireless, agitated. There are just too many of our Black children stuck in ambiguity and in the limbo of the foster care system. In 2017, I legally adopted my nephew, Ladarian. Fast forward to 2019, I had no ties to this other young king, but I felt God instructed me to adopt him also, and I obeyed. Starting over with parenting should have been enough, right? Working with various foster care and adoption agencies to help bring awareness to the countless young Black kings in the foster care system should have decreased my agitation, right? Joining the board of directors of Advantage Adoption, an organization that helps find permanent adoptive homes for children in foster care, should have led to some type of resolve, right? No, not at all. None of it felt like I had done enough. I now realize that every one of those experiences was laying the fundamental foundation for my life's mission, Kingdom Royale. Kingdom Royale will be a luxury, state-of-the-art home for foster boys. Our first location will be in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We will utilize the whole person approach that instills identity, empowers them to advocate for themselves, and enlightens them regarding new perspectives and limitless options that they thought were impossible. Though the young kings will attend the local public schools that are in proximity to Kingdom Royale, our at-home curriculum will broaden their worldview through participating in the arts, attending various cultural events, learning about and engaging in multifaceted discussions about current events and even relevant historical context, introducing them to gardening and landscaping and even caring for our animals on our farm and on-site stables. We just launched our Startup Capital campaign with the goal of raising $2.8 million. Now, why $2.8 million? Well, in 2017, I created a web series in which I performed random acts of kindness for targeting the homeless community. One of the most notable successes was that one of the videos went viral, garnering 28 million views. However, one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't raise a single dollar to help in implementing a more sustainable plan for the homeless community. So throughout the years, with much remorse, I reflected on not maximizing that moment. I knew if at that time, just 10% of the viewers donated $1, we would have raised at least $2.8 million that could have really established long-term support for the homeless community, or at least started a long-term initiative to do so. This is my do-over. This is our new beginning. Together, we can attack this at the root by specifically helping our homeless Black boys who are already disproportionately represented in the American foster care system. I'm Laterras Whitfield. I've been nominated for 3 regional Emmys documenting my work with the homeless as well as my personal adoption journey. Despite those accolades, the greatest award for me is truly providing the infrastructure for a transformed life. Visit kingdomroyale.com for more details. Crown a king and make a donation today.
Listen, I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. This is a special episode. Hey, make sure that y'all go and pre-order the book, Student of Love. The book is going to be released January the 13th, but pre-orders are so important. If you're really looking to learn to become a student so that we can do relationships better. So, and I mean all type of relationships, not just romantic relationships, but those relationships with our family members, the relationships with our kids, relationships with our coworkers. Student of Love will get you there. It's a powerful, powerful read. Trust me. Well, here's my favorite part of the podcast where I speak to my future wifey. Dear future wifey, commitment is strong, but covenant is sacred. Commitment says, I choose you until I change my mind. Covenant says, I choose you because God joined us and nothing can sever what he sealed. Commitment is built on feelings, on passion, convenience, and timing. It thrives when the sun is shining, but often falters when storms arrive. Covenant, however, is built on vow. It is an altar where two lives become one, not because they merely decided to move in together, but because heaven bore witness when they spoke, I do. When couples live together before marriage, they taste the fruit of partnership without the soil of promise. But in the grand wedding at Concord Church, these couples stepped from commitment into covenant. They crossed the invisible line between us and forever us. Covenant doesn't just bind two people, it binds two destinies. It's not about cohabitation, it's about consecration. Commitment is a contract between two parties. Covenant is a union with God as a third strand that keeps us from unraveling. So do you, my future wifey. I don't want to just commit to you. I want to have a covenant with you. I don't want my love to be held together by moods or circumstances, but by the eternal glue of God's design. When we stand before him, our families, and our community, I want heaven to record that we didn't just choose each other, we entered into covenant where love is no longer temporary, but timeless. Your future hubby.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Remember, be lit, live intentionally and transparently, and don't stop loving. Make sure to subscribe to our Dear Future Wifey YouTube channel. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. We welcome your support. Simply share our podcast with your friends and family.